Oh shit, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Square the Circle music channel, where we talk about circles and squares, all things, musical, appreciating music, collecting records. That's what we're talking about around here. So, what are we going to talk about tonight, Mage? I bet you're wondering that. We're going to talk about something that's actually quite common amongst the vinyl community and amongst, YouTubers all over the world. I wanted to do my version of, like I said, the oh so popular top of the heap price wise, my most valuable records, not my most valued records. I'll do another, episode of like my top 20 most valued records, I guess you could say, the records that have intrinsic value, records that, records I will never let go of for any fucking price. So I guess you could just say priceless. Priceless records to me. I'll save that list for another day. But I'll just do my top 25 is what I got. I'll try to burn through them real quick, guys, because I honestly don't have anything that's like really valuable. But I'm going to use a couple of different metrics, to kind of like figure my shit out here. And I'll let you guys in on the methods to my madness here. So I'll do like what everyone else does. I'll look at things like the median price that Discogs has or whatever else. Or basically, I'll kind of take like what I paid for it and kind of adjust accordingly, but use, eBay price lines too. And just kind of like, we all know eBay's prices can generally be a little bit more exorbitant, but I'll kind of use that as another kind of metric. So because I looked at these through a microscope pretty well. But also I'm going to use a little bit of a different guideline because I haven't really heard or seen anyone do this on YouTube yet, and kind of look at it from like a realistic point of view because I happen to be like a vendor around the Northwest. I do record shows, and I've bought and sold large collections to store owners. I've done for my own collecting purposes and whatever, flipping and whatever. I'm a horse trader. That's what I do. You can be a serious, pseudo serious, I guess, record collector on the cheap. Not on the cheap, but I mean, like, you can still be thrifty about it and be smart and amass a pretty dope collection. If you know the ins and outs, and if you're smart about it and you're smart about your purchases, because everything I take I can flip, and I can get bits and pieces for my own personal collection that are pretty rad, and I generally never have to pay very much. You see the stories on YouTube about these guys like, I paid $30 for this and come to find it's $300. I've had my fair share of those types of instances, but more or less, like, I've just bought big fat collections from people and really amassed some pretty dope shit that I can just flip, and then I can go to my local record store or find local buyers or go to Discogs and get the little bitty gems that I absolutely desire. Because I'll be honest with you, the shit that I really want in my personal collection is not stuff you're gonna just, it's not happenstance items that I like kind of like unique prog, and I like, other kind of like, odds and ends that are just a little bit more on the rare side. So I guess I'll just go ahead and shut the fuck up and just show these to you. And I'll, like I said, use all those metrics that I just discussed to kind of get a base price line here. But most importantly, I forgot to kind of like put a bow on that and tie it and give it to you at the end. Like, I've done my fair share of buying and selling and trading, and so I want to use that as well as like being the most, realistically based idea of what could I actually sell this at a record show and really get for it. So that's where you're kind of going to get my price points from. Does that make any sense to you guys? I hope so. So let's just get right into it. Before I start, don't forget, like and subscribe to my channel. Visit me on Instagram, Square the Circle Records on Instagram. And yeah, thanks for making it through my long-winded diatribes that I like to do at the beginning of all my episodes. So here we go. These are my 25 most valuable records in my collection. So let's just enjoy this, shall we? First on the list is a super sweet fucking punk band that I actually used to see quite a bit in my early, in my formative years when I was kind of like, learning how to be an adult. and learning how to have fun, I would go see Zeke all the time here in Eugene, Eugene, Oregon. This album, Kicked in the Teeth, is a magnificent specimen of kind of like, you know, super fueled punk, you know, mixed with metal. Pretty fucking, it's called race car music, basically. It's just race car punk. Fucking rad, though. Found a cool, you know, original 1999 pressing. They've never reissued this. So this is like the original motherfucking mint condition. And, you know, this will go for 40, 45 bucks. So pretty sweet. Like I said, they never reissued it, but there's still tons and tons of these floating out there. So you can get this for like 40, 45 bucks. Pretty cool. Really fucking fantastic album. So that kind of starts it off. Like I said, you know, half of what I got going on up here is just kind of like in that $20 to $40 range, just like everyone else's records. This one kind of surprised me next on the list because I knew it was somewhat valuable, seeing as how he passed on. You know, we miss him, love him dearly. Old John Prine. John Prine passed away a couple years ago. But I had no idea his first self-titled release, just John Prine on Atlantic Records, 1971. Now it's worth quite a bit. After people pass, that's kind of what happens. So yeah, this is just loaded with all of his, you know, greatest hits. Sam Stone, Hello in There, Illegal Smile. You know, everyone knows this album. It's fucking magnificent. But now it's, you know, it's creeping up there. My copy here, I mean, this is, you know, damn near excellent, you could say. You know, very strong, you know, very good plus, but even borderline excellent condition. The vinyl is absolutely pristine, excellent condition. And you know, I have all my stuff in these MoFi inners and damn near mint record. So it's 50 bucks now, guys. You want to copy original, you know, original pressing, original release. I believe this is probably a Pittman pressing. Yeah, it's either a Pittman pressing or a what's the other one that's right around there? Jacksonville pressing. Yeah, these are 50 bucks now, guys. So if you find one for any less than that, fucking buy it. This album is legendary. Absolutely legendary. Here's kind of an oddball that a lot of people may not know about, but this is a kind of a hard progressive, hard rock, psychedelic rock progressive group that I love dearly. They are called Astra. They're from San Jose, California. This was their first release ever that they gave the world. It's called The Weirding, but yeah, 2008 on the Rise Above label, Rise Above Records. I'm not sure where the label base is out of, but they were from San Jose. I believe, I always mix this up. It's either San Jose or San Diego. Sorry, fellers, wherever you are from in Southern California. They play some really wicked, fucking cool, like I said, kind of hard psych rock, prog, very proggy. This first album was a little bit kind of darker, kind of doomier, gloomier, I guess you could say. But still really, you know, cool, conceptual, spaced out, space rock, prog. It's hard to get a hold of. This was the first, I think they might have reissued it in the UK. But that's where this was initially issued, I believe. So yeah, I mean, Rise Above must be like a British label. Anyway, original UK press of this, really kind of hard to get your hands on these days. I think it's going for upwards of 55 to 60 is kind of what I looked at. And that's kind of like the solid price. You'll never find it for any cheaper because it's so hard to find everywhere. You won't see it anywhere in the United States of America. You have to get it from overseas. So yeah, that's that. At least about 50, 55 bucks for that sucker. Climbing the ladder a little bit higher. This is a weird one because it's like they only issued it from Greece. I ordered it from the company. What do they call it? They're called Stone Cold, Made of Stone recordings, based out of Greece. But that fucking awesome band from last year, this was on my top 10 of favorite albums of the year. I think it was probably right around like maybe number 8 or 9 or something. But yeah, the band is called Daliborovo Granje. They are Croatian. They are fucking like Croatian stoner rock, kind of psych rock band, garage rock, whatever. They're fucking sick. And there's just kind of like really cool mix in of their kind of like folk stylings of that part of the world. And so you have like some trumpet that kind of comes in and some other more kind of like, you know, intriguing instrumentations and sounds. And it's just, you know, it's stony rock dripping with that like, you know, Eastern European folk sound. It's fucking dope. But yeah, this one's, it's hard to get. They only allotted like a numbered amount of their initial pressings from this Greek label. And yeah, you can't get it or find it anywhere. It's pretty uncommon. And even so, you know, the few copies that I could find online, yeah, they want 60, 65 bucks at least. And you'll have to order it from Greece. They only have, there was a few people that had it in the world that were selling it. And there was a couple in Croatia and a couple from Greece. And that was it. And yeah, they want 65 bucks. So fucking cool album. The album's called Hainin. Hainin, just released last year, 2001. Or excuse me, 2021. I've been doing that a lot lately. It's not 2001 anymore. Where does 20 years go? Out the window. All right, some more fucking nerdy prog, getting a little bit more expensive. I paid a lot for this. I didn't find it on the cheap, so because I wanted it so bad. It's my favorite of Eloy's albums, and this one happens to be a UK pressing from 1982. I think this album was initially released in 1981. And I think the UK pressing came out a year later with this really awesome texture. The art is completely different. The art on the original German version, Eloy is a German prog band. The original release of this, the art was not terrible, but it's just not as captivating and beautiful as this. And this is actually a textured cover. I don't know if you can see it, but that same wonderful texture that a lot of albums had in the 70s and 80s, namely, or most notably, like Close to the Edge by the band Yes. In 72, they had a whole early run of them, at least like the first and second issues. The first pressing and the second pressing were all of the textured cover, and this is the same, nice UK. And the art is dope. It's just like this cool elf riding a chariot or whatever. And the art on the back is equally as gorgeous. But yeah, this was the UK issue, and it's kind of rare. It's kind of hard to get your hands on, and my copy is absolutely, you know, pristine. It's whatever the closest you could really get to near mint. You know, it's I would say excellent, graded excellent. So yeah, that's a $70 record right there. Pretty cool. All right, moving on down the line here. Another one that's kind of like, you know, there was a while there where you could get it for 40 bucks, but copies of it are becoming rare. And you don't really see it. There's only a couple on Discogs, and everybody wants $65+ dollars, 70 bucks for them. But really cool side project band by Dan Auerbach. He's the songwriter, guitar player, most well known for the band The Black Keys. This is his side project. They only did 2 albums. I think this was the second of the 2. It's called Yours, Dreamily. 2015, really fucking great. Just very reminiscent of what, you know, the Black Keys were doing, but this is a full band, like, you know, 4-piece, maybe a 5-piece band, and it's got a lot more of kind of like a psychedelic rock, blues, soul, funk kind of thing going on. It's really fucking dope. So check it out. If you can find a physical copy of this anywhere, it will easily run you $65, $70 probably for it. And again, like I said, I'm basing this off of, you know, what you could get at a record show or whatever. If I had a record store, you know, that's what this would go for. Most definitely. It is in absolutely immaculate condition. Again, it's got its original inner, you know, it is near mint. So that's how I base these prices, guys. You know, I wouldn't have anything on here even if it was like a really rare record. If it was in you know, fair condition, I'm not gonna put it on here because nobody buys fair condition records. Nobody. Doesn't matter if it's rare as fuck. Nobody wants it. This one is, again, kind of pushing that, like, you know, $70, $75, almost $80 range. Only because this has been reissued many times. So that will inevitably drive the price of records down when they keep getting reissued and people can get copies of them. No one cares about, well, some people still do. They want the original pressings of things. But when it's a contemporary modern band and they're still floating around all over the world, no one gives a shit. But this one's still so cool to me because it's one of my favorite albums of all time. It was on my top 10 list of greatest personal albums to me. And the original pressing, it's like they're not around. It's on the original, you know, black wax. But this was released in 2011. This is Wobblers, not first album, but they're kind of like newly revised, re-envisioned, kind of almost a new band in a sense. I think they had gotten the singer that they have today. This was their first album with their singer. What's his name? Damn it, I can never remember his name. But really cool Norwegian, you know, modern, neat, contemporary neo-prog band. This is technically their third album. It's called Rights at Dawn. And this is the original 2011 release. They reissued it in 2015, and then they, of course, put out a newly remastered version of this just this year, early on in 2022, or maybe I want to say late last year. Anyway, there's at least three pressings of this you can get now, but this was the first one. I got this when I first discovered them in 2013, and I had to get on Termo. Is that I had to get on the Termo website. You couldn't find this online. They weren't being sold anywhere online except for at Termo Records website, and I had to pay a ridiculously stupid amount for this. But it's still worth quite a bit. It's at least about 75, almost $80 most places. I only saw one copy on Discogs of this original pressing. There's the black wax, and then there's also a green wax of the original pressing. And this one's going for easily like $80, so kind of cool. Love this album. Anyone that's a big prog fan, and you guys that watch my show and enjoy prog, is, you know, Wobblers' album Rights at Dawn is one of the greatest modern day prog masterpieces. Another kind of weird, you know, oddity, I guess you could say, but this is a band they're a newer band. And this was on my list again of the greatest of my favorite albums of 2021. And it's rare as fuck. There's only a couple copies in the world floating around for people to nab up. Again, like, this is one that you had to like go to some German website to buy, and I got so frustrated. My German, I can definitely recognize quite a bit of German and speak and understand it. But when you get into like trying to buy something on a website, that's a different story. I get a little bit nervous because there was no option for translation. And if there was an option for translation, it was fucked up. Anyway, the interface was not good for the whole, you know, United States to Germany kind of thing. But I was nervous as fuck trying to get a copy of this, and I waited forever. And finally one popped up on Discogs, some Frenchman. I got it from France, so of course it cost, you know, fucking $22 to get it shipped. But there's still like only one copy in the world, really, that's up for sale, and people, it's like $85 or something like that. But this was one of my favorite releases of last year, 2021. The band Conjurelingus, self-titled, really fucking cool, psych, stoner, elements of jazz, but mostly just kind of like, you know, psychedelic rock, stoner rock. Really cool though. They're Danish, you know, from Denmark, or at least this was released in Denmark. I think they're from all over the world, maybe Swiss or something like that. But I think at least one of the guys is Danish and one of the other guys is Swiss. But they're fucking amazing. So yeah, pretty rare. You don't see this anywhere. That's about $80 right there. So again, lots of stuff I have here is just like in that $75, $80 range. And again, guys, these are all mint. Every single one of them, mint condition and pretty obscure. you know, pretty obscure, kind of like weird, rare shit. I had to order this from Japan. It was only pressed in Japan. This is that fantastic duo. I'm not sure where they hail exactly from, but I want to say Austin, Texas. But everyone knows her because she's gorgeous and she's all over, you know, in the media. She's on Joe Rogan's show and shit. Her name's Suzanne Santo, and she had this group with a guitar friend of hers, and they called themselves Honey Honey. Honey Honey, they do covers and they have tons of original music. They're incredible. But yeah, you know, country, Americana, blues, bluegrass, all kinds of stuff. Lots of music on this one. It's a beautiful album. Super impossible to find. You won't, like I said, you won't find it in any record stores. You won't find it unless, you know, people just kind of hold on to it and keep it for dear life forever. Because I think, like I said, they only pressed it through some random obscure company like in Japan, and all of those copies kind of like stayed in Asia. You can get one. I think there's one on YouTube right now, or excuse me, not YouTube, eBay. There's one on eBay right now for, you know, $80. There's none on Discogs. You won't find this on Discogs. So the album's just titled 3. Yeah, really cool. All right, just plowing right through them, guys. Like I said, I know it's a huge stack, but a lot of these I kind of just wanted to show you guys, even though I've featured them on my channel many times for different kind of like other episodes, but you know, such a great stack here, and they're all, like I said, in just that kind of medium $50 to $80 range. We're getting a little bit up there though. This one, the last copy I saw of this that was in the States on Discogs was at least $75 with shipping, probably $80. I've had this for a couple years now. This was released in 2017. This is that soundtrack to the video game, the Ocarina of Time, the Legend of Zelda game that was released in 1997-98 on the Nintendo 64. This is the soundtrack to that, written by the infamous video game composer Koji Kondo. He wrote all that music, and then the music was so just timeless and beautiful and legendary. We all enjoyed the game. We all enjoy the music so much. It has been done in many different ways and iterations and styles all over the internet forever, but this is the greatest rendition, I guess you could say, of all that magnificent music from the video game, all with a, you know, a gold filigree and, you know, all these magnificent, the art is just, you know, spectacular, magnificent inserts with all kinds of thematic, neat shit from the game. The disc 1 is all just kind of like the early game, you know, representations of what's happening in the game, and the disc 2 is all like the dungeon music, you know, fucking, it's so sick. Yeah, it's between $80 and $100 now. My copy is, of course, mint. You know, I treat everything really, really well, and everything has stayed in perfect condition. So it's getting more and more hard to get a hold of. People are willing to drop lots of money on these really cool video game soundtracks. That label that puts these out, called I Am 8-Bit. Yeah, pretty neat. So there's that. Getting a little bit higher price now, jumping up into a almost a new echelon here. This is a cool, kind of more rare piece that I have in my collection. Really, and the only thing that makes it worth as much as it is the fact that it's the lone pressing out of all the rest, and it's just a unique pressing from Sweden. This is the Swedish man, Bo Hansson. He's like, you know, a prog symphonic instrumental composer, along the same lines as like your Mike Oldfield and whatever. He composed a bunch of music, instrumental stuff, and it was used for the Lord of the Rings animation from like the early 70s, right? Is my timeline right? Are my facts right, guys? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's right, though. I know he did the music for the Lord of the Rings. I'm just not specifically positive about those dates, but I think this was music released like in the early 70s, 1971 or something like that. But this is the original pressing from Sweden. The only one that looks like this. The rest of them have really lackluster art that's just kind of boring. It's a hand like holding the ring, you know, with some really just kind of blasé, you know, watercolor shit on it. This one's much more vivid and gorgeous. It's in the original Swedish tongue, Sagan om ringen, you know, Lord of the Rings. Really cool representation in, you know, watercolor here of like whatever all this stuff is. Fucking, well, it's not Rivendell, but whatever. Helm's Deep and the Mines of Moria, whatever else is going on in here. It's fucking way cool. Swedish pressing. Yeah, by Bo Hansen. And my copy is not in magnificent condition. If this were to be in mint condition, I'm sure it would easily fetch one bill, one Benjamin Franklin. But mine just happens to be the wax is mint. But there's some unfortunate sticker accidents here. I don't know if that would be a price sticker. Who would put a price sticker right there? But there's just a little oopsie fucksy doozy right there where somebody put a sticker. Shit happens. Maybe it's part of the art. I don't think so. But it's just a little beat, man. You know, it's a little beat. That's a jacket that you could barely get away with grading it at a very good plus. It's more like a very good. There's no seam splits, but the wear is just a little bit too much. So you got to price that, you know, accordingly. You know, you put that at like excellent wax. You know, you downgrade the wax from near mint if the jacket looks like this. You just have to. You can't sell a record that you say near mint for the wax, but then the jackets are very good. It just, you know, you got to just kind of knock everything down one peg when you bring a jacket down to a very good grading. You just automatically put the wax at an excellent. You try to sell that for that kind of like, you know, 75 percentile marking. You could easily get 80 bucks for this, 85 bucks. So cool fucking record. Really great music. If anybody has never listened to that music, it's really fun. Yeah, instrumental, orchestral, prog, weirdness. Okay, this is a fucking dope record. This is a fantastic band. This was their freshman debut record. I'm talking about a band called the Atomic Bitchwax. We're talking garage, stoner, psych, kind of motorcycle, motorhead rock, you know what I mean? Fucking cool shit. Excellent cover art. And it's in mint condition. Oh, I don't recall if this is colored wax or not. They did do a run of original pressings on colored wax. Yeah, it is. It's like that magenta. Fuck yeah. Yeah, dude. 1999, the Atomic Bitchwax. This shit's like, I've seen it places for $100 bucks. But yeah, I've also seen that's where the you know, really fuzzy, weird kind of like prices on eBay are so much different than prices on Discogs, and some people are willing to sell this for 45, but they say it's in very good plus condition. But I don't know, whatever. Mint like this with that fucking killer magenta wax, that's an $80 record right there. It's worth it just for the cover art. It's fucking. You can get away with selling records for exorbitant prices when, you know, there's fantastic cover art. Here is one of my favorite in my collection because what I paid for it makes it that much more fun. I've shown this off recently because it was one of my junk store finds. I found this in a junk store bin, guys, for a couple of dollars. Well, no, this was a glass case item, but even still, they put it in the glass case and they still only put a price tag on it. I think I paid $7 for it. Something like that. It's got the fucking hype sticker on it. It's one of the last records I think that Oingo Boingo ever made as a group. 1990, it's called Dark at the End of the Tunnel. Yeah, Dark at the End of the Tunnel by Oingo Boingo. Like I said, this is the very end of the band before Danny Elfman decided to run off and have a solo career and do film compositions. And I mean, he was already composing film music at this point in time, but pretty sure this was Boingo's last iteration. Really cool. That one's easily, it starts at about 80. My copy, like I said, you know, the wax is fucking excellent. But the jacket, is a little rough. There's a tiny bit of fraying and spine split beginning right there. Corners aren't dog-eared, but it's just kind of starting to, it's just shelf wear, you know, a little bit. It's a little bit more than just minor shelf wear, but you know, you can get away with a very good plus grading on that because no one scrawled their name on it in marker. You know, there's no hole punches, there's no dog ears and no hole punches. And it's got the hype sticker. So very cool. And yeah, so when the wax is mint, you know, that's a valuable record right there. Easily $80 to $100. I've seen very good plus all around, like strong, very good plus copies of this go for $100, $120. Pretty wild. But yeah, cool album. Cool album. Here is another really fucking cool album. I saw these guys live at least twice. I'm going for a third time. They're coming to Portland in like 2 weeks, like 2.5 weeks. This is that band I love so dearly. They're called Whores. I fucking love Whores. This album, clean, kind of intended to be their first full-length LP, but it kind of rings more like an EP. It's pretty short. There's only 6 tracks, you know, and each song's really only about 4 to 5 minutes long. But it's fucking badass. Released in 2013. These guys are from Atlanta, Georgia, and yeah, they just fucking kill. They're just, you know, noise rock, kind of sludgy, kind of like, you know, take a lot of, you know, learnings from like the Melvins, lots of learnings from all of that great fucking alt rock from the 90s. You know, you hear elements of like Helmet, you hear elements of Nirvana, it's really fantastic. I hear a lot of like Harvey Milk in this band. I think, yeah, they definitely associate themselves with Harvey Milk. I think they're probably homies with those guys. But this one is starting to get, I bought this at their concert in Sacramento in 2016 from the band, like at their merch booth. And now it easily goes for, it's really hard to get a hold of. I mean, you can find copies of it on eBay, but I think it's going for at least about $85 now. Yeah, between 85 and 90 bucks, I would say. It's colored vinyl, lavenderish, purple. Whores and their album Clean. Burn your body. Burn it clean. Yeah, the song Cougars Not Kittens as well. Fucking love these guys. Lots of cool albums. They have one called Ruiner. They have an album called Gold, and they're going on tour for release of their newest album. I don't know if the album's titled, what is it again? Shit. Imposter Syndrome. Is that what it's called? I think it's called Imposter Syndrome. Anyway, fucking cool band. All right. More in that kind of like $80 to $100 value range. And this one's weird too, because I've seen copies of it online for like $50. But that's when you look at the grading and you're like, okay, the jacket is graded at very good or very good plus. You know, that means someone fucking like tore the whole like envelope thing open, you know, or someone spilt fucking bong water on it, maybe on just like the corner or whatever. People get kind of weird with their gradings. They'll put stuff at like very good and very good plus, and it's like, it's very obvious that a cat barfed on this, you know what I mean? It's like, sorry, we're talking about Stars of the Lid, one of my favorite ambient instrumental drone electronic groups. I have almost all of their LPs. This is my favorite. It's a triple LP. Stars of the Lid and Their Refinement of the Decline is what it's called. Opens up like this cool envelope and has three discs just all tucked in with cool art. Love the shit out of this. Goes for at least $85 in mint condition. Yeah, like I said, I saw a couple copies that were like $45, $50. But yeah, you know, you want a mint copy, you're definitely going to pay $85 for it. On that Cranky label, I love the shit out of these guys. All of their LPs are $100. It's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, if you ever come across any of their shit and you love, you know, ambient music, ambient electronic, especially stuff that kind of has a more drone vibe. You will love the shit out of these guys. Stars of the Lid. Check them out. Yeah, that was like 2000, and that's another reason why that copy is so valuable. It's an original release, first pressing in 2007. They reissued it again in 2011. It was later. It was like 2015. I think they reissued it. That's what I was looking at. The reissues of that, you can get them at your record store for $45, 50 bucks, but some record stores will put it at 45. That's a first release. So OG presses, you're gonna pay 80, 85, 90 bucks for that fucker. God, yeah, here we go. Getting closer to the $100 range. This is kind of a recent one for me, not a recent discovery. I've known about these guys for a long fucking time now. They're one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite record labels, and their shit's expensive. And if you go to their website, you go to all these fantastic, bands and separate albums that you love, and they all say sold out, sold out, sold out. It's fucking hard to make stuff these days. Especially when you're popular and you're selling out. This one's super hard to get a hold of now. There's only one copy of this left in the world for sale on Discogs, and it's Orange Wax. And it's still, it's 70 euros, so that's at least probably 85 bucks. And then you have to order it from, the only copy available is in Denmark, so you're paying $15, $20 for shipping, so this is easily a $100 record now. I happen to get a copy, luckily not on Orange Wax. I fucking hate Orange Wax. It's probably my least favorite. I don't know, that bright yellow wax is god awful too, but yellow and Orange Wax, I'll even kind of skip it sometimes, even if it's something that I want really badly. If they press that shit on orange and yellow vinyl, those are such displeasing colors to my aural I guess that would mean my vision palette, whatever you could call it. Yeah, so I got green wax for this, luckily, and I had to pay the price, not too much, but yeah, it's worth $100. I'm talking about Caso Sui on that El Paraíso record label that I love so much. But Caso Sui, this is their best album, my favorite of their albums. It's called Euphoria Tide. Yeah, 2 discs of tons of really fucking awesome again, psychedelic stoner rock, with, tinges of, elements of jazz, fusion jazz, but more or less it's really just kind of like heavy psych rock, from Denmark, from Copenhagen. So yeah, dope record. Really stoked that this is in my collection finally. It's just like every time I would see it on Discogs, someone wanted like fucking $90, and I'm just like, I don't have that kind of money right now. Finally one, I don't think they lowered the price. I think they still wanted like $75 for it, so I paid it. It's a fucking excellent record. All right, here we go. $100 records. And luckily I didn't pay that much. I've really only spent $100 on a record maybe twice in my life. I think there's maybe only 2 records I've paid close to $100 for. I just always find great deals, and like I said, I buy, sell, trade, and wheel and deal, and do whatever I can to get these hits that I wanted this so bad for so long. I love nerd music. I love, electronic, ambient, super spaced out, awesome nerd music, and this is one of my favorites. Teddy Lasry, he is a Frenchman. This was released, I think it's 75 or 76. If you guys want to correct me, go right ahead. I'm pretty sure it's 76, because, everyone kind of took a little, page out of the book of like, Vangelis in these years, and like a lot of other, Japanese artists of the time, Isao Tomita and whoever else, and people were really playing around with lots of cool sounds. This has, dripping with like Mort Garson and all that stuff. But Teddy Lasry, masterful on the keys, some guitar in here too, but just lots of really cool like ambient kind of space, some elements of like popular, even kind of rock moments. I wouldn't say as like kind of rock and roll influenced as like your Mike Oldfield or like your, whoever else you could compare him to, but it's pretty fucking cool. And it's rare. It's pretty rare. Hard to get copies of this anywhere. There might be one on Discogs right now, and it's probably $100. It's probably $120. Mine's mint. It's fucking rad. They've never reissued it. It's pretty, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say it's obscure. I know people that know, but he had lots of albums all throughout the late 70s and early 80s, at least 2 or 3 albums. But this was his first. It's got the orange RCA label, but it was only released in France. You know, so this is, you know, everything is in French. All of it. Pretty dope. Cool fucking album. If you guys like spaced out nerd music, this is for you, for sure. Oh man, this one's worth at least $100. Again, I've even seen 120 for very good plus copies. You know, copies people will buy where there's like, you know, a big old crease right down the side of the spine or something like that, and people will still pay $100 for it, which is understandable. Yeah, I looked deep and hard, deep and wide to find this album. Pretty dope. It's, you know, 100% minty plus, easily worth $100, maybe even 120. This is a group called Billow Observatory. In the same wheelhouse as what I was just talking about, that group called Stars of the Lid. It's an ambient electronic drone type of album. This has more elements of symphonic music in it. There's more kind of chamber sounds, you know, string, piano, you know, orchestral stylings, but still lots of, you know, heavy influence on the, you know, drone, ambient, almost kind of like krautrock moments. I wouldn't say krautrock moments because there's no real like kind of steady beat. This is practically beatless music. So this one goes a little bit more into the pop realm though, more so than like what I was talking about with Stars of the Lid. There's more kind of like, you know, because it has so much symphonic elements to it, so you get a feeling of kind of like, you know, overall composition, you know, wherein Stars of the Lid is like, it's totally beatless, it's super ethereal, super, you know, spatial. You know, there's nothing really to it that grounds you. This kind of grounds you and reminds you that like you're on planet Earth and you're listening to some really gorgeous sounds that your brain really is pleased by. This was like 2005, I want to say. I wrote some notes down here. No, sorry, 2012. Finally released in 2012. The 2005 number I got is because this was all sessions and recordings from like a 6-year period between 05 and 11. And then they finally put this out in 2012. Really excited to find out that this group, who it consists of, I'm not sure. It's definitely more than one individual. I'm sure it's at least a duo. But they put out an album this year, and I got to listen to a little bit of it today. So yay! Excited to hear a new album from Billow Observatory. Cool fucking group. Yeah, this is one of those ones that I got really lucky on because it was like less than half the price that it's worth these days. And all of that kind of like, you know, turn of the century, indie rock, whatever people want to call it, you know, it's just alt rock, it's just alternative rock. That sound that was coming out of the Northwest, again, people were really into it, and that type of, you know, what people called independent rock. This was on the Suicide Squeeze label out of, I think they're out of Seattle, aren't they? Suicide Squeeze. Modest Mouse was on that label for a while. They put out a couple EPs on the Suicide Squeeze label. But this one's more kind of, I don't know, a little bit more creative, a little bit more, I've often struggled. I've featured this band in so many of my videos, at least 2 or 3. And every single time I talk about them, I'm totally lost for words when I'm trying to describe what they feel like and what they sound like. They're instrumental, they're rock and roll. They have horns and other percussion instruments that give them a really kind of different, otherworldly feel. Moments kind of like lounge music, moments of kind of like, whatever, dude. They're just alternative rock. They're called 6 Parts 7. This album is called Casually Smashed to pieces. This was right around like 2005 or something like that. Did I write it down? 2006. 2006, they have very few full-length albums that they've released. They've released a lot of material on CD format and just like in other ways, but it's all just like you can only get it at live shows. That's what makes this so valuable, is this is the type of stuff that just wasn't widely distributed and created and made for people and put out there. You couldn't buy this at record stores. It's like you could only get a copy if you went to one of their shows, kind of thing. There's very, very few copies I've ever seen of this anywhere online. Never seen it in anyone else's collections or at a record store or anything like that. So pretty fucking rare. I've seen copies of this go from about, you know, $120 usually, 100 to 120 bucks. So that's what mine's worth. It's in mint condition. Pretty fucking sweet. Really cool band. Everybody check this band out. They are worth your time and effort. If you like that kind of like interesting Northwest alt rock sound, you know, stuff that was coming out of the Sub Pop label, you know, like I said, turn of the century, I'm talking like 2001 through 2008, you know. A lot of bands kind of sounded the same at that period in time, but not those guys. Those guys were pretty fucking unique. It's really all I could say about them. They're just unique. Okay, we're getting down to the last few here, everybody. Like, again, in that $100 to $120 range for this one. I didn't have to pay that much, luckily, but this is a reissue from a really popular American prog. I guess they weren't popular, they weren't huge, but they were an American prog band that did fairly well for themselves. And they actually got a little bit more notoriety. Funny enough, they were kind of better known in Europe than they were in America. This was kind of like late arrival, kind of, you know, classic sound of progressive rock that was, you know, made and loved and enjoyed all throughout the early 70s. These guys were kind of like late to the party. This was like a 1977 release, I think, or 78 even. But I've talked about these guys, this band called Cathedral, not to be confused with the, I think there's a black metal group called Cathedral as well, or maybe they're kind of like more of kind of a doom metal band. But this is the American prog band Cathedral, and their album Stained Glass Stories. This is a reissue from 1989, United Kingdom, reissued in the UK, of all places, in 1989 because it was popular over there in Europe, like I said, and people wanted it. Wherein the original pressings in America are like, they go for like $2,000 or some shit. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, I don't have that one, unfortunately. The art is much, much cooler. Which is another kind of anomaly when you find like a first edition of an American pressing album where the art is better than the UK reissue. So whatever, shit happens. This shit's immaculate. It's in perfect condition. It's got the original insert, you know, the lyric sheet. This is one of those really annoying fucking albums that is not a gatefold. It actually opens up into just like a bifold like poster. And then they have, like I said, the separate lyric sheet there. So if you wanted to, you could just like open this up and hang it on your wall. This ugly fucking art. I don't know why anyone would ever want to hang that on their wall, but whatever. Like I said, you know, it's like kind of about $120 record. Here's another like $120 record, which is crazy to me. I got this in a bargain bin for $2. Thank you very much, Value Village. In mint condition. You would think that this would lose a little bit of its value, like I said, when they reissue stuff. Almost, you know, instantaneously, albums will lose their collectible value and their monetary value when something is reissued. This has a recent reissue from just this year, maybe late last year, late in 2021, but it didn't lose any of its value. The original pressing on Fortunia Records, right? Was it? Yeah, on Fortunia Records, one of my very favorite albums of all time, Steve Roach and his album Structures from Silence, 1984, and an original pressing in mint, absolute mint condition, will still fetch and or cost you $120. So yeah, pretty happy to still have that. I haven't heard the reissue. I'm sure it sounds fantastic. What they're doing these days is pretty magical, but it's just cooler to have the original pressing. If you're a guy like me, if you're an ultra nerd and you like yourself some super spaced out ethereal electronic synthesizer mastery like this guy did, American virtuoso, it's space camp music, guys. It's seriously straight up like space camp music. It's fucking great. So I love this kind of shit. So really happy to have it in my collection, and it's somewhat valuable. Here's another really cool find for me. This is going to be the one exception in this chunk of records that I wanted to bring out and show you guys tonight, where I said, you know, it's just not worth it if it's like, you know, fucking thrash or whatever, me and my pretentious bullshit that I often spout out. I just knew that this was like incredibly valuable. I'd never even seen it before, but over a decade or more of digging through junk bins, when you come across something that you've never seen, you know that it's going to be worth money. And I've heard the name. I knew that this was a popular artist. But yeah, really fantastic surprise for me. Just a happy surprise because I enjoy the music too. You know, we're talking early era, very early era, kind of honky-tonk country rock, kind of what Elvis Presley was doing and just whatever else. But talking about Link Wray, dude. I found an original mono pressing, a Terre Haute pressing in mono, and it's really not in that bad a condition, guys. Yeah, there's some fraying on the spine to be expected, but no corner split, no seam splits, everything intact. No one spilled anything on it, no one wrote their fucking name on it, and it even is a demonstration copy. You can see the stamp there, probably for a radio station or something like that. It sounds fucking great. I would honestly have to grade it. I would have to grade it honestly. There is this really bad, you know, price tag, oopsie fuckity right there. But beyond that, maybe a tiny bit of like what looks just to be very mild, you know, water damage. Just some humidity over the years, but overall, I mean, really in fantastic shape. And the wax, not suspect, but it's just not fantastic. It's really really fuzzy. There's lots of fuzz, but the way, like I said, it's mono, and this wax is fucking great. It's durable, thick, awesome. Look at this original Epic label. Look at that. Just the weight of the wax and the way it was cut and just everything about it, even that surface noise, which I would grade this probably conservatively at a good plus. I would say this is a good plus, but it could be, with the jacket condition being fairly fucking good, I could say it's a VG record, really, honestly. Because when you listen to it, if you have a decent setup, you know, and your stylus is, you know, at least weighty enough and you have a good enough, you know, heavy head shell and everything on there, and you really get in the grooves, like the surface noise goes away because the music is just so, like I said, it's mono, in your face, woo, just fucking honky-tonk rock, da, da, you know, it's fucking awesome. And the surface noise just goes away. There's no crackles, there's no pops, there's no skips at fucking all. Pretty dope. Even a very good plus copy of this record goes for $145. And so, yeah, I mean, I would conservatively grade this a good plus to very good. No skips, no pops, minor surface noise. I would sell this at a record show for $120. And if someone wanted to walk up and be like, dude, I'll give you $80, $85 right now, and this other record, I'd be like, fuck yeah, it's yours, you know? But for now, I'm gonna listen to fucking Link Wray because it sounds great on my system, and I don't mind just a little bit of steady, like I said, a really tolerable amount of surface noise. I've been through worse in my day. So yeah, that's a fucking cool record for what I paid for it. $2. Yeah. $2. All right, getting crazy here, guys. Almost done. Thanks for bearing with me. This was a big chunk. I get it. But, you know, I just wanted to bring out more than just like 5 records because, like I said, none of my shit is like really fucking valuable. If I had a couple like, you know, grails in here and a couple gems that were worth $1,000, or if I had some crazy old jazz records or some shit, yeah, I would have only brought out like my top 10. But I don't know, I got a pretty dope stack of some really unique, kind of more oddball type of records, and that's kind of really just what I wanted to show you guys. This is one of the cooler pieces in my collection. This is a band that has a big place in my heart, one of my favorite, you know, kind of dark metal, doom kind of punk records. I was in a band that opened for this group one time, way back in the 90s, in the late 90s. They just have a really big place in my heart, is my point. I've never had the original pressing of this, but it actually is about equal in value, bought and sold. So I kind of was stoked to just find this because I think it looks cooler, it feels cooler. It's fucking 200 gram vinyl, double disc on, oh man, it's just heavy as fuck, on oxblood wax. I love this. This is like of all colored wax, this is my favorite, this oxblood color. But yeah, one of my favorite albums of all times, one of my very favorite albums from the 90s, came from the late 90s, the 1999 album by Neurosis, Times of Grace. One of my favorite gems in my personal collection. This is a reissue. The original pressing is just a single disc. It's not a double disc. Ooh, I might be wrong about that. I think it's just a single disc. Yeah, they reissued this only one time. This is the only reissue you can get. They made numerous variants, but this is a UK reissue. 200 gram on oxblood vinyl, 2015. So kind of recent. Relapse Records did this for us. And it's, it's $200, you know? I think it's always been that. I think even when it was initially re-released in 2015, it cost almost that much. I think it was like $120 reissue. But the original pressing from '99 goes for about the same. It's about $150 depending on the condition. Mine just happens to be an absolute minty plus condition. Maybe I shouldn't be touching it with my oily fingers right now, but beautiful art. Yeah. I've seen copies of the cheapest copy I've seen of it. There's a few on Discogs, or maybe not even on Discogs, maybe on eBay, but there's only a couple copies you can get of this. And I think the first one was very good plus condition used, and I think they wanted $150 for it. So I don't know. I could probably get $180 for this. Cool fucking record. Amazing record. That's why it's in my collection, not because it's worth money. It's in my collection because I put it on and I bang my fucking head to it. That's what I do. All right, guys, we're getting into kind of like weird territory here. We're getting into the void, into the twilight zone, so to speak, because this is an album in a realm where it could kind of be considered priceless in a sense. Not priceless, but I mean, it's priceless to me. It's one of my very favorite albums of all time. Again. But you can't buy it. No one will allow it sold because it is an unofficial pressing. Not a bootleg, mind you, an unofficial pressing, wherein it was sold legally through many different mediums. You could get it on eBay, you could get it on Discogs for a while. But after they all got bought up on eBay, that was it. You know, this was an unofficial pressing, so some small person, you know, got the digital source and did it themselves, and whoop, that was a fun run. We made some money. That's it. And the problem being is that there's no other pressing of this. There was never an official pressing from the band or the record company. And so the only copy that we have of this for the general public is an unofficial pressing. And it's this very one. I think someone just recently did a new bootleg of this. But this is a unofficial from the UK on like this interesting kind of like orangish red vinyl. But one of my favorite albums of all time, 10,000 Days by Tool. Originally released in 2006, wasn't it? In 2006, but I'm not sure when this was. issued this unofficial issuing of this, but might have been from right around the same year, maybe 2006 or 2007. But these were kind of everywhere for a while, but then, and they were like, you know, $75, $80, no matter what. I didn't pay quite that much. I think I paid like 60 on eBay for this years and years and years ago. And then suddenly they start disappearing, and then Discogs was like, you can't buy this, you can't buy and sell it on our website anymore. It's an unofficial whatever. And of course, the popularity of the band and just everything about this band, this kind of cult weirdo following, everyone that loves this band, they're just impossible to find. You can't find them anywhere. So I don't know what to price it. They don't have any price listing on Discogs. There's no median value. I think they did have like a timeline of like when it was bought and sold, but it was so askew because there for a while it was like a $60 record. And now because it's so far out of like the reach and it's been out of, you know, you just can't buy it anywhere. You can't buy it on Amazon. You just can't buy it. So that sends the value, even of unofficial pressings, that sends the value through the roof. I don't know what. I think the last time I saw a copy of this for sale, it was like Amazon or it was some crazy shit online. I think it was right around $200. Somebody wanted $200 for this. Maybe it was on eBay is where I saw it. Somebody put it up for sale on eBay, and the bidding started at like $200. So whatever. Who cares what it's worth? Favorite records of all time. And again, one of those that just has intrinsic value to me. It's not probably worth anything price-wise, but means the world to me. I got to meet the band, well, not the whole band. I got to meet the lead singer, guitar player of the band Elder years back when they first released this album. In 2017, I saw Elder play in a small venue in Portland, and I walked up to the merch booth to, ironically, I brought this with me because I just had a feeling, like I've never really met that many famous people. And honestly, these guys aren't like, you know, mega famous, but I didn't think dude would just be like sipping a beer at the merch booth. You know, I thought it was like, maybe I'll run into him outside, and I just had my LP in my book bag with me, and I would go to a show and I just had it there. This is actually a, there's two different shops that they press their records through and distribute through. There's the Armageddon shop, and then there's Stickman Records. Stickman Records is their European company that they deal through. And this is a Stickman pressing. So I think it's on colored wax. It's like a creamy green, like this color sea green. Anyway, so it's Stickman pressing. It sounds way better. I think it's made at a plant in Germany. Fucking incredible. Anyway, so I take this with me, and there's Nick DeSalvo just at their merch booth, just like sipping on a beer, skinny boy, just hair in his face, just like, I walk up to him, there's nobody around, nobody. And I was just like, hey man, you're the shit. I'm just this some guy, and will you sign my record? And I bought something too. I think I bought a patch or a sticker or something. But we even shot the shit for like a good solid 5 minutes. I probably weirded him out really good, but he gave me a signature. There's Nick DeSalvo's signature, the singer guitar player from Elder. Elder's a fantastic kind of like stony doom rock band that has kind of metamorphosized since this era, and their most recent music is more kind of steeped in progressive rock roots of like the 70s. So yeah, really cool kind of like transitioning band, a band that's just getting so much better and more proficient on their instruments and just kind of growing into their sound, and their sound is developing and progressing along with them. And it's really fantastic to watch these guys burgeon into the group that they have. And I got Homeboy's fucking signature, so it's priceless to me. I don't know what you would ever appraise something like this at, or what it would be worth. I would never imagine anyone would want to sell anything like this on eBay. I'll fucking never sell it. I had it framed on my wall for the longest time, but now this is my only copy. I used to have an American pressing from Armageddon, the Armageddon story, and then I had this, and I think I sold the other. It didn't sound fantastic, and I didn't have an attachment to it, and this. Whatever, I'll spin this all the time. So, okay guys, well, this is my last one. This is my most valuable record. This is the one I said at the very beginning I probably paid close to $100 for this record, because I discovered this band in 2017 when they released this record specifically. It was their first LP release, and they released a double album right off the get-go. Australian psychedelic crazy fucker hard rock band called the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. And this album is their first. Like I said, they didn't intend it to be released as a double album, but they had so much leftover material, and they're like, fuck it, let's just release this LP as well. And then they combined them into a double LP gatefold style, the High Visceral album. High Visceral 1 and High Visceral 2. The original pressings look like this. So when High Visceral came out, it looked like that, and then they released the second part, which is just like addendum 2, you know, and it's like, it's all fucking amazing. Like I said, you know, psychedelic, fucking in the face rock. Really cool, really pop savvy. Yeah, so even if you're not into like really spaced out cray fucking psych rock, like, don't worry, like, it's hella pop sensible. And this is, you know, it could be on the radio. I don't want to say radio friendly because that has a stupid negative connotation to it, but really catchy, lots of, you know, earworms and hooks, just hooks galore. Great singing. They're a 5-piece, so there's tons of amazing fucking guitar work on here. Three guitar players. Yeah, I mean the singer also plays guitar, so there's like 2 other guitar players, bass, drums, and lead singer guy, and they all just great sound, very sonically rich. And yeah, it being kind of a weird, rare, double compilation of tons of amazing fucking music. It immediately became kind of like hugely sought after. They became really popular all throughout. They're from Australia, so they're huge in Australia. They're huge in Europe, in the UK, and many other places. And it just like all got bought up, and they just never did this again. They never reissued this format and this style of how they did it. Really fucking gorgeous colored wax, like a marbly purple and orange on disc 2. Disc 1's like a blue and green, I think. Fucking sick, dude. So yeah, this is the Australian pressing. I ordered it direct from Australia. I paid $85 for it. It's easily, you know, opened, already played, very good plus to excellent condition. I saw one going for like $250, $265, I think it was. I saw another one that was unopened, in mint condition, obviously. Someone wanted $400 for it. So, yeah, this is my copy, and I play it all the time. Found God in a Tomato is my favorite song. Marmalade March is awesome. Cubensis Lensis is awesome. The song Entropy is fucking dope. Everything on the second disc, the High Visceral Part 2, is insane. There are a lot more instrumentals, way more kind of spaced out, psychedelic, cool. Released on the What Reality record label from Australia, 2017. That's my most valuable record, guys. Big whoop, right? The music is fucking sick. In no way, shape, or form are those 25 records indicative of what is truly valuable to me. Put a price tag on it, I don't give a fuck. It's still amazing music, and I still spin the shit out of it and appreciate and love every part of it dearly. That's what's most important about what we do here at the Square the Circle Music Channel. I am your pal, Mage, and you come back and visit me anytime you want. We'll talk about all sorts of great shit. Check out all of my videos and my history. I have a rich history of the last like year plus. I've been posting all kinds of dumb shit for you guys to ingest. So go take some of it in and write me some comments and tell your friends. Give me a like, give me subscribes, give me all the fun shit. And if you're lucky, maybe I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace be with you, my brothers and sisters, and everyone in betwixt. Goodbye.